West Ellicott, I'm sorry, I just let him Lakewood. Can't get used to working in Lakewood, believe me. Lived in West Ellicott and hung in and around the Celoron baseball team, one of those stadium rats, hung around there. Enjoyed it, become a bat boy, and it has a lot of reminiscing and a lot of history. It's willing and has come today to share with us. We'll do as we do, we'll start and then we'll break and enjoy our food and then we'll kind of wrap it up and be out of here by somewhere around quarter after 1 or 1:30. So I'm not going to take any more time because Bob has a lot to say and I know you have a lot of questions. Bob, nice to have you with us.
Thank you, Russ. Well, I really shouldn't say anything. You just read this paper here and it's all right there. But there are some things that happen. Buddy Showers and myself, we were kind of operated as a water boy and a bat boy. And being a water boy then, you had to run across the street to a house and get a pail of water. And they had a cup, ladle they dig it out with, you know. So I got, every other game, one would be the water boy and one would be the bat boy. And it was for both teams. It wasn't just for the one. And I look in here and I see these names. Stan Statuski, pitcher, had a superstition. Them days they left the gloves in the field. They didn't take him into the dugout. And he was a pitcher. He never stepped on third base line. Always stepped over that. And then he laid a glove a certain way. Superstitious. In one game, the coach, well, he was the manager for the team. I think it was Jake Pittler. Rolling in. He walked out from the dugout to the third base coaching box and he kicked the glove, you know. Well, that was that was fireworks there for a while, but they got over that. It was quite an experience. And in here it says about the Pittsburgh Pirates coming to play a game, and I remember that game. And it was two players, brothers, Lloyd and Paul Wayner, I think. Big Poison and Little Poison, and one of them broke his bat during the game. We got it, Buddy and I got it. Well, we had a bat for the summer then. You know, we wrapped electrician's tape around it, and that was our ball bat for the summer. And but when they started out that league, it was going to be composed of, you know, boys and men from the city they were playing for. It was going to be a competition between the cities. The only two that I can remember got on the Jamestown team was Merlin, I think they Rabbit Peterson from Faulkner, and George Goodell played first base. That was the only two. But I can remember there was Chuck Taylor. He, after the war, I think he went into boxing, become a prize fighter, and lived down in Pennsylvania somewhere. And they had a baby, Chuck and his wife. And during one night, the baby was fussing and fussing and fussing, and they got up and get the baby out of the room, and were down in some other room, and a hot water tank blew up and ended up in the baby's crib.
Oh my God! Oh,
I mean, it was just a thing that happened, you know. I can remember that. Then there was Eddie Carmichael. He was a kind of a crazy one. Now, it's hard to remember all this stuff. It was 1939. I was 15 years old, so it was quite an experience. Mickey LaLonge. I had a baseball autographed by every player on the team. And a few years ago, I gave it to Hillman Lyons, who was running the Jamestown Falcons. So I don't know ever what happened to that. I wish I had it now because it could go out to Hall of Fame out there.
Right.
But I don't know. I have no idea where it went. Talk about much more for me. I mean, there's questions. I can remember a lot of games. Hank Buzzinotti was a catcher. Now, I don't know if you know this Celoron ballpark. It was all, the only fence they had was the one that went along the miniature railroad in Celoron Park. They had a fence there so they couldn't get out to the miniature railroad. And then inside the fence was all these big trees. They're still there. They're still there. I remember Hank Buzzinotti hitting the ball. He was a catcher for the team, hitting the ball over the center fielder's head and hit the base of one of them trees and come bouncing back right over his head again. And he got inside the park home run. I remember that one. Is there any questions on it? I mean, the old ballpark, Russ saw that, I think, the old stadium, the old grandstand, it was something else to behold.
What kind of condition was the field in?
Oh, gee, lousy.
Lousy?
Lousy. It was, I think the whole infield was dirt. You know, there wasn't any grass anywhere there.
What did they charge to get into the
I
ball?
think it was a quarter.
Did they get big crowds, Bob?
Pardon?
Did they get big
It
crowds?
wasn't bad. They'd fill the bleachers up, but it was, you know, being from Jamestown, the team, they didn't get many Jamestown people out there, I don't think. I can't remember the guy's name, but he sat in the same place every game, right alongside the dugout, right on the second bleacher seat. I can't remember. I wish I could remember his name. Holler and yell and scream. And back in them days, I think they complained about every pitch.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
every pitch was a ball or a strike. Jake Pittler, he was running up and down the baseline, going crazy there. It was,
That's what made baseball then.
yeah, oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
And there was only a manager. There wasn't anybody else. They went out to their coach's box. It was a ball player and a manager.
Exactly.
The manager went to third base and the pitcher or something went to first base.
Right.
That was it.
Did they have the roller coaster?
Oh yes, 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 yeah. And in fact, they even had the old bathhouse was still out there. The toboggan that went down.
Did you see Babe Ruth play
No,
there?
no. I think somebody told me that he played there. I think in 1927. I can't remember. And I was.
Where's Lawrence?
Who's that?
Babe Ruth.
Yeah, he was talking about the waiters. I saw one exhibition he up there, Paul Waiter put one of those trees out
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Them trees are still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see Babe Ruth when I was up there, and when Lyle tells me, I guess he figured out I was 3 years old, and I guess when I remembered, my dad keep telling me about it. But I was there, and as far as I could say, I remembered, but I evidently my dad kept talking about it.
Yeah. That the ballpark was Duquesne Street run along the ballpark, and then Allegheny Avenue run down the other way. Now there wasn't any houses inside that area except that grandstand and my grandparents' home. That was the only home inside that area, and it's still there. The home is still there.
How did the Jamestown team get in touch with you?
Now you mean when?
Way back when it first got started, as
Well, we just went in there and said grab a bat and grab a bucket and go get some water, and it was Buddy Showers, and yeah, that was
Right.
And Stan Satusky, we'd play pepper, you know. And Buddy and I he'd be batting the ball up. And every time the last one would be like a boom, right in between us, you know. I don't know.
Yeah.
That ended the pepper every day that we did that.
Do you recall the first name of the team?
First name,
Yeah.
the only thing I can ever think of is Jamestown Pirates. That's the only,
Jamestown Pirates?
yes, that's the only name ever comes to me.
There was at least what little history we've been doing on this. The first week of the season, Durwood, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was known as the Jamestown Jockeys.
No,
And of course, you probably would not have come across it. They went on the road the first few weeks, and then the Pirates had bought them while they were still on the road. So when it came to Celoron finally to play,
yeah.
you remember the first game?
No, I can remember that home run, and I can remember kicking the Stan Satusky's glove, and then that George Goodell played first base, and Peterson played right field. You know, I can remember that. And then it was Carmichael and Taylor and Buzzanati and Satusky.
How about Ralph Mead?
I see Ralph Mead name was out
I can't remember him.
How about Les
From
James?
Levant.
Remember
No,
Les?
yeah, I remember Les. I can't remember him playing. I can remember, you know, George.
Jet Walrod?
No,
What did Jeff Whitney?
I know they had a lot of, you know, there's a lot of local players on each team. They wanted it that way for
Bob, living
competition.
in the neighborhood, what happened to the stadium after Jamestown left, and when did it finally, that there was nothing left of the stadium?
Well, it was there after the war, and we every Sunday we played Merry Men Single Men baseball down there in the old ballpark, and the grandstand was still there then, but I can't tell you when it really was tore down. Probably was when they put up them apartments. Probably had something to do with it. But it was a
Who was in the league at that time, Bob?
Olean, Bradford, Batavia, Niagara Falls, and I think it was London or
London,
London, Ontario, because it was a pony league, Pennsylvania, Ontario, New York. And that's the 16s that I think that's all it was 16.
Well, Buzzanati and Joe Black ended up playing with London.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they played down here at the
Oh, yeah.
stadium down there, they
Yeah.
played with London.
It was quite an experience, really, for,
Joe
15
Black
years
played
old.
with London too.
That's what I say, Joe Black and Buzzanati both.
Yeah.
No, it looks in the picture like they were a ragtag outfit. Did they all have uniforms? Or?
Yeah, they had uniforms, but it was, a lot different than this today.
Oh, yeah.
Do they all have the same uniform?
Yeah.
All wool. I guess so.
All heavy, I guess.
Never did play anything with wool.
Yeah.
Now, was there a lot of discussion during the season about the situation of the stadium and possibly moving out of Celoron?
That, I can't remember that, but I know they talked of it, that something had to be done.
Yeah.
If they were gonna play there. And, it was, I think having the Celoron Park there brought them there the first year. They thought they'd get people from there to come into their ball game.
Were the players, were they playing more in a semi-pro mode, or were they full-time ball players?
They were full-time.
They were,
Yeah.
so they didn't hold down other jobs then?
Not that especially the ones that were out of town, I don't think they,
Did you ever hear their salary?
no, I don't know what their pay, but I don't think it was very much. No, they
Do you remember, Bob, if there was a locker room there? Did they
No.
someplace else, or?
They, when they left town to go on a game, they had their uniforms on.
They showed up at the ballpark.
Yeah.
Where did the visiting team stay? They were in here for just one game, or did they stay overnight? 2 game stay?
There was an old hotel there that had
Oh, yeah.
over across the street from my grandmother's house.
Yeah.
They'd get rooms in there.
That's probably where the relief pitchers stayed.
Was that Lombardo's old hotel?
Yeah, Lombardo, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That'll date you.
yeah. I worked at the I worked at the park when I was young too. So that was
Well, at that time, was the park active?
oh yes. They had big days there then. When I was they had a 3-cent day. You could ride anything you wanted for 3 cents.
That's bread day.
That's bread day, Flickinger Day, Decoration Day.
Tap from your pop.
Right, yeah,
Well, they still had that
McKean.
when we were going.
Yeah,
In the
oh
40s. Oh, yeah.
My dad was they had these gyp joint games in the park, throw the balls at the cats and throw darts at the balloons and mouse games and all that. My dad was a shill for the mouse game. Nobody was playing the mouse game, he'd go over and put a nickel down on a number, and hey, we got a winner. Bushel basket full of groceries, you get. Leave there, the big crowd get around, he'd leave there, and he'd come over to the joint I was running and put it in the back door. And
That's right.
2 hours later, the groceries back over on the other side.
What was your salary as a bat boy?
Nothing. I didn't get anything. It's the privilege of getting in the game, I guess.
That's right.
Trolley is still running from Jamestown to Celoron then?
They quit in '39.
Did they?
Yeah, they quit in '39.
Now, you were with them 1 year?
Just
and
that was it.
And then they moved out of town?
Then they were gone then, right? I think
And when they
they
came back, was it to Allen Park?
I think that's probably where they did go. I think the war was coming on then. And,
But you say the grandstand was still there in the early 40s?
oh yes.
I can remember going to Allen Park to a game, but I don't remember that grandstand ever.
Weren't they up there in about
Celoron Park.
1940 or somewhere around
Yeah.
there, Ellen Park?
Yeah,
Yeah.
1940.
Yeah, and there was just one year.
You played up there, didn't you, Tom?
No, but I'm just, I heard about it.
Yeah, I think
It's a tough crowd. You used to show respect.
You rascal.
Anybody have memories of the old grandstand after it was all over? How long was it there? Did it just fall down? Did they tear it down, or did they burn it down? Anybody?
We
have
played
any-
in the county American Legion League. We played ball games there after the war, and the
Grandstand.
grandstand was there then.
Yeah.
It was there in the late 40s. I don't know how late, but
Hallelujah.
Bob, I'm still trying to visualize the stadium. So, close your eyes and tell me how the stadium, right field?
Stadium was sitting, let's say this is the lake.
Right?
Cove, stadium's over here.
Okay.
This is right field,
Okay.
and that's where the Miniature Railroad and the Greyhound roller coaster went in the bathhouse. Then it went out around the point here and come down here. This was left field, and that was probably the longest field, really. That was out there quite a ways. Hit the ball in the lake there, they had to go a little ways. And that's about the way it sit. And I think the grandstand probably was as big as, if you took third baseline, and then around to first baseline. That's about as big as stadium. Then it was bleachers running on both ways.
Now, there was a fence, and
Just where the Miniature Railroad was.
that would be in right field.
Right field, all the way out to the lake.
Okay.
All the way out to the lake.
You were always hitting towards the lake, or either
Always,
right
right.
field, center field.
Yeah, either way was
Left field, left field had been.
quite a way.
Bay,
Yeah, right, out by
Furnace
Erickson's
Bay.
boat livery.
Right,
Yeah.
Erickson's boat.
Yeah.
There was a row of poplar trees out there too.
Oh, yeah, that was.
That's right, bro.
The left field's down where the apartments are. 3 years old.
Yeah, left field out into center
I
field. Now they
remember
had
Babe Ruth
apartments.
hit that ball over that poplar tree. At least I think I remember it.
Well, that's good that your father kept that alive.
It was,
Is there poplar trees all the way around the field, or just in left field, left center?
out along the lake, okay, on the lake.
I always remembered I did till Lyle told me I was 3 years old.
Most of them are still there, except where they built up the apartments now. Some of them are gone.
Then I got thinking
I was,
about
in fact, I went by there the other day just to see if the trees were still there.
Bob, do you have any memories or heard memories of Billy Webb and the Sliders up there?
Well, I heard of him quite a bit because my uncle played with them on some of their games. But
Your uncle was who?
Wilt Johnson, and I can remember where Webbs lived down on Conewango Avenue, and the daughter Kate was married to Dick Illig. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and she was married to him, and I think she still has a daughter around here somewhere, and I don't remember who she married, but he died. The fellow died young, and I think Joan is still around here somewhere.
I seen the pitching leaders in '39. William Black. Now, is that Bill Black's father or any
I
relation to that?
have no idea.
Bill's father was a ball player.
Yes, he was. And then he became an umpire after that.
Yeah.
Correct?
He retired on Faulkner teaching.
Yeah, Bill did, yeah.
Bob,
That Walt was his dad.
Right. Walt was his dad, right.
do you remember anything more about that Pirates coming into town for the exhibition? That must have been a big event.
Oh yeah, it was, but I just remember the brothers, big poison, little poison or something, and they broke their ball bat and we got it.
Was it a big crowd that day?
Yeah, that was, that'd be a bigger crowd that day. And it was something to be bat boy or water boy for them, They didn't carry them.
How they have tickets sold, or did you just pass the hat around?
No, they sold tickets. They had a gate. Of course, most of the young ones from Celoron, they come in the lakeside. I mean, the fence went behind this grandstand all the way along the road, all the way down to the lake. But
Kind of wade into the lake and come in?
no, it was dry enough. They get around there. And then there was a door that went to go out to the house to get the water. They never closed that.
Right.
They just come in that.
Are any of those trees still there?
Oh, yeah, they're still there. I drove by there the other day to see that they were, Russ. Yeah.
There's another famous tree that has to do with baseball, and that's the tree up in the parking lot at College Stadium. Every photograph I look at College Stadium, way back in the 40s, that tree is in those photographs. And it's still hanging on. They've blacktopped right all around it. I don't know how it's living, but the tree's been there forever as far as baseball is concerned. You can tell a lot of stories there.
I just wish I still had that baseball. That's I don't know, Hillman Lions, I don't know where, he was the Falcons. He was the president of it, I think, at that time.
He went down south, didn't he?
I don't know, I don't have any idea, I didn't think so. Somebody said, oh, it's probably in the Falcons' office someplace, in the file cabinet, but I said,
Kentucky, is helmet small
I don't know, I don't know.
Right.
Buddy Showers, he's still around, another, I see him once in a while, he lives up on the Hunt Road.
But he was quite a roller skater.
His brother was more, Jimmy, Buddy, Jimmy.
Right. Right.
Jimmy's passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah. We run around together as children, Buddy and I. We lived just 3 houses from each other, so. Yeah.
Do you ever recall Shifty Gears?
No.
I
I
don't know
remember,
how
I
you
heard, I
seen him
remember
or
the
not,
name,
but
I
it's a
remember hearing.
softball pitcher, and
Yeah, I
he
remember.
put on an exhibition up there in Celoron.
Well, they had,
Pitch with either hand.
they had,
Through with either hand. Is that right?
what's his name? The King in his court, the King in his court.
Yeah,
Shifty
no,
Gears
but
out of
that-
Rochester.
Yeah. The
Either
king-
hand.
The King in his court played up there.
He put his hand behind his back, you didn't know which side he was gonna throw.
I said, we warmed up, he threw him up over the backstop, I mean, just to get the guys on nerve.
Yeah. When the King in his court played down the stadium too, I think.
Yeah, I've seen him in the score, yeah,
Yeah.
but this Shifty Gears.
Eddie Feiner.
Yeah. That was,
Good hand.
You
know, me too.
So,
Well, like I
Can I-
said, I
got the camera.
I remember seeing Dave, but I don't know if I did or not.
at a depth charge.
But I was there.
One thing maybe some of you fellows are not aware of, and it ties, well, in 1939, he was picking up bats at the ballpark in Celoron, carrying water. For 7 or more years, I think now, he's been picking up papers and trash on West 3rd Street and a little bit of Fairmont Avenue, making our community a much better place.
No,
We're
thank
glad
you,
we
Russ.
began that by picking up bats.
Yeah, Russ, I'll tell you, I picked up papers in the Celoron Park too. So I had to stick with a nail on it there.
Not the same stick, I don't believe.
No.
Was that 39 team kept pretty much intact, or did they lose players like to the war, or,
Well, I know Chuck Taylor, I know he went into the service, but I don't know about the rest of them, what happened.
you don't recall if there was much player
No,
movement?
no, because they weren't there the next year, and they were gone.
Yeah.
And we living up there, it'd be hard for us to go to Jamestown. In them days, you just get in a car and go somewhere.
That's right.
You know.
Do you
you
recall,
gotta-
Bob, do you recall players during the season coming and going a lot?
No.
I saw a list once of those who played a
Yeah.
couple games at Celoron, and it's massive.
Yeah,
A lot
yeah.
of guys,
In and out of there.
yeah, seemingly.
These, like the Satuski and Carmichael and Taylor and Buzzanati and Goodell and Peterson, they were probably the nucleus of it, they stayed around. The rest of them were in and out of there.
Yeah.
But that's why the names are hard to come by.
How about Stuart McGuire? Any memories
He
of
was a
him?
photographer, I think.
Was he?
I think he was a photographer, Stu McGuire or something. Did something.
He was sports editor.
Sports
for the
editor,
Post,
sports
for the-
editor.
For the Jamestown Journal.
Yeah, he's sports editor, and I think he
Before
took
it
the
was
pictures.
Post-Journal.
I think he took the pictures too.
But he was sports editor.
Yeah, before Frank High. I think it was before Frank High. And I peddled papers to Frank High. He was up
No, I
in Saw.
remember Stu McGuire.
Stuart McGuire historically is the guy who laid down the $630 that got Jamestown/Celoron into the Pony League.
Oh, yeah.
Stewart's the guy that is the founder of Pony League baseball as we know it. And then quickly ran out of money and sold the franchise after the first week of the 39th season to the Pirates. And then
You remember what he sold it for?
I gave it away.
Sounds familiar.
Back in them days, they gave everything.
I think they were taking a real licking early.
Yeah. I know a fellow that had interest in the Maplehurst Country Club golf course in the 30s Depression. There was about 6 of them, I think, in it. And this is from my uncle, in the 30s. And this one fellow, he sold his share in the Maplehurst golf course for a motorboat and a motor. That's what he got for his. That's what he got for his share in it.
Wow.
And the Maplehurst golf course was my wife's grandparents' farm at the turn of the century. But
Bob, tell us about Celoron Park.
Celoron Park?
For a guy that hardly remembers it, sort of, I mean, my dad told me I was there, so I like Roy Peterson remembers it.
Well, Celoron Park, I worked in Celoron Park I started there when I was about 13 years old, rolling greens at the miniature golf course. They didn't have these carpets then. They had the cottonseed hulls and linseed oil and green paint, and you mixed it and you had to roll it. On a busy day, it was rolling continually. And I was 13 pushing that roller over that. And they'd want you to hurry up because the greens would be messed up ahead of them, you know. So hurry up and go. And women with high heels stepping down in that stuff. You had to roll it all out, and then next day you had to mix up more and do it. That was a part. That was a golf course. But then after that, pardon?
Where was the golf course located?
Where? Well, right along the lake. You know where the Pier Ballroom was?
Mm-hmm.
Well, right up the lake from there, all the way between the Pier Ballroom and the roller coaster.
And the circle swing.
Yeah, and the circle swings were out there. But then after that, then I got a job with Milo Lawson. I don't know if anybody remembers Milo Lawson, but he run all the games, dart game, ball game, cat mouse games, shoot the bee, and all
on that
that.
little island was that
And
airplane.
$10 a week. That's what we got. But then we had a deal with him that if we started to close our shutters on our joint, anything we got after that was ours. So if it was raining and they hollered over, close up, and we had a shutter down and somebody come and wanted to play, that was our money. And if anybody come from the Pier Ballroom dancing on an intermission, and they says close up, and we had a shutter down, they were all over there behind the Penny Arcade coming our way to ride the Greyhound, well then we got them customers. Wow. And I remember Shine Olson. He was there one night. On the dart game. He's standing there, and there's about 6 of them, and I hear the darts, but there's nothing hitting the balloons or nothing. There's other ones throwing them in. He's sticking them in the cats, the plaster prizes you win. He stuck a couple of them. Well, I charged him $5 a piece, and he took the cats, and I got $10. Because the joint was closed, And it was. Then we run the whip and the roller coaster, and run all them rides. It was quite a place then in them days. I mean, they had about 7 holidays. I think it was Decoration Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day. Then that's Bread Day, Flickinger Day, and McKean County Day, and they were all 3 cent, pretty much 3 cent days. And
What did that mean? What's 3 cents a ride?
that was 3 cents a ride. You got tickets for 3 cents. And some of the rides would take a couple of tickets, but most of them were 3 cents. The merry-go-round, the guy just retired from the merry-go-round up in Midway Park. He must have went 5 million miles on a merry-go-round.
Wow.
He worked on it over 50 years.
And that Ferris wheel.
Yeah, oh yeah, Ferris wheel. That was a thing. We got stuck up in the top of that thing many times.
Phoenix wheel, right?
Yeah, Phoenix wheel. They took that to Dallas to the Texas State Fair. And that's the first place that went.
And ended up in California.
Ended up in California, right.
I was on that one time and it wouldn't stop. We kept, and it was raining, and we kept going around and around and around.
That's worse than getting stuck at the top.
Is that when you were 3 years old?
That's enough for you.
Recently, there was a picture in the Post-Journal of the theater.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Up there. They said that was eventually turned into the Pier Ballroom.
Well, one of it was, and then it burned down in the new Pier Ballroom.
Yeah, but that one was right at the end of Jones and Gifford Avenue. You go down, it used to be on the back side,
Right.
where they used to have the stage shows.
Yeah, that was it. Then I worked at the pier before I went in the service. I run the spotlight there. And I was the only one that could run it. It was an old carbon light type light where you had to get the points together and they
They brought in some big name bands here.
Oh, real big,
yeah.
real big. I remember Guy Lombardo coming there. Over 3,300 people in the place. They had a dance out in the park out there. Yeah, Tommy Dorsey, Jimmy Dorsey, a lot of them come there.
Who owns that land where the ballpark used to be?
It's,
Up there, you know?
it's that development for the apartments there, and I don't know who it is.
Oh.
Was that Johnson had it at the beginning, some Johnson.
Oh,
Yeah, Paul Johnson.
Yeah, that's what, that's it. He had it at the beginning, and I don't know who has it now.
I think the bank owns it now.
Yeah, probably. You remember the Boone Tacky family?
Mm.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
ran
yeah.
those little,
Japanese
fish
stand.
ponds and stuff like
They
that.
had a
That's right.
Japanese, they had a
And
Japanese stand, the war broke out and they changed the name.
And Boone, he was killed in the war, right?
Yeah. Boone and Toiso and then there was the Yoshidas.
Yeah, the Yoshidas.
Yeah, Donnie and-
Boone's parents were servants for, Selstrom's there, you know, on the corner of Main and, Lakeview and Faulkner Street, that house there.
Yeah.
Sheldon's,
Yeah?
they were the servants there.
Really?
I
They
think
went
so.
to, they were members of the First Congregational Church.
This was after Celoron or?
Could be, well, it was Boone's parents.
Boone's parents? Well, weren't they the ones that had the concessions at Celoron too?
I think so.
They had a zoo there one time, underneath the Phoenix wheel.
Sure.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
Underneath the Phoenix wheel, it was a part of a zoo. And they had,
Oh,
at that time, they had a miniature railroad was running down through this picnic grove. And, my uncle, had a great uncle, was running that, killed a child down there. And that end of the railroad there, they had moved it out right out of there, because there was too many people running around.
Was Bob or any of the other, you have any other memories of what was going on baseball-wise in the area in 1939? What competition did they have? Was there a muni league? Was there a county league?
I can't remember that, Russ, of that.
Anybody have any memories of
I
that?
think there was a Legion League of something then, but,
That wasn't until after the war.
yeah, I think that,
The county league was playing, man.
Preceding that, though, in the late twenties, was the Jamestown Pirates. They used to bring in quite a few big league teams for
Mhm.
exhibition. That's when I can recall going up there the day they played the Boston Braves from 1926 to 27. Swat Erickson pitched. He shot about on 3 hits. Hank Gowdy was the catcher. Remember Hank Gowdy? Later, he televised a lot of games. When Swat had his stuff going that day. They had been 39 years old, they didn't take it.
I don't remember too much from 26 and 27.
One thing I remember about Celoron Park is Monkey Island.
Oh, yeah.
The bears they had up there too.
Bob,
I'm sorry, sir.
Bob, did your paths cross Lucille Ball's?
Well, my aunt played, went to school with her, they played basketball together. And she come back here one year and I was working in the park. I think it was after the war. First year after the war, I was working there. And she come back and she was here for something and come into the park office and the woman that run the office, she said, probably remember Bob, you know? She said to Lucille Ball. No, she said, it's probably his father.
What was her reputation at Celoron?
This is about 10 years before me, you know, I mean, it's, I can remember them talking about her and that, and going to New York for something. But remembering anything else about her, it would just be coming back for the movie premieres or whatever she was coming back here for. She had relation living up there. I mean, there was a family of Ericksons that lived next door to the Balls, way back then, and somebody shot one of the Ericksons. They were doing target practice out there, and they shot and they killed one of the Erickson children. I think there was 4 children in the family. They killed one of them. And Lucille Ball's grandfather took the blame for it. I don't know whatever become of that. In fact, Debbie Erickson, I don't know, Dick Raymond's wife was an Erickson.
Yeah, all right, yeah, yep.
Dick Raymond's wife, Roy, was an Erickson woman. That was the family.
Lucille Ball, she used to stay with her grandmother across the street from me on 12th Street. And they didn't have a phone, she used to come over the house and use the phone. When she come in for that Forever Darling, when she flew into the high school, I was traffic lieutenant, and we went on the fire truck, and we went up to the hotel and went up in the reception room there, and we talked about old times, and she showed me the picture of her kids, and I showed the picture of mine. I knew Lucille Ball quite well.
We used to call her Swamp Rat.
Well,
She was one of the swamp rats, yeah.
well,
Yeah, I know.
that's where I was brought up. I never lived above Main Street. I was always down below.
Was there something about an animal, a dog or a cat that?
Well, she had a dog she called Whoopi. The dog had pups, and we got one of the pups. And it was never was very old. I was walking the girl up on Main Street. The dog ran out in the street and got killed. But like I said, no, I knew Lucille quite well. And then, well, my brother went through school with her. I mean, she went to school in Jamestown, not always in Celoron, because my brother had a picture of him in a class picture. I don't know what it was, 3rd or 4th grade or something.
You go to school in Celoron, Bob?
Yeah. My uncle was the first graduate in Celoron High School. 2 boys in the class. Before that was 1923. Before that, they graduated from Jamestown. 1923 was the first class out of Celoron. And my uncle was a valedictorian, and the other guy was a salutatorian. But that was 23. We had family members in that school all the way through, right up into Southwestern. And it's only a matter of just a few years ago when no one was going to school there from our family.
The last class was what, 46?
46, something like that, 47, 48, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Bob, you mentioned something that Fred Hunt being the grandfather of Lucille Ball, and he lived in Celoron with Fred Hunt, where that house is now. And you didn't know whatever came of that case. Well, I was asked by Lucy Arnez to check that out, whatever happened to that case, and I did. And nobody's here who's a current official of the court, but we were able to get access to, there was a trial. And Lucille Ball actually was a witness to that case. And in fact, there was a judgment ultimately rendered against the grandfather in negligence, permitting the use of this gun. But what happened was, he had a gun, they were having target practice. You know, he let the kids use target practice. Well, the Erickson kid apparently just running across lots, you know, got hit by crossfire and I don't know if he got killed, but he certainly was damaged.
Yeah, well, he was good.
And bottom line is, grandfather got sued. Grandfather gets sued, they get a judgment against the grandfather. It's kind of interesting, and only in the sense that because of that judgment, they then had their house, which is the one they have in Celoron, foreclosed on. The person who's living there now, they bought it at that foreclosure sale because of that incident. So the same owners back in 1930 are still living there now.
Yeah.
She's alive. I'm trying to think of her name.
Didn't the Faulkner buy that?
Faulkner, yeah.
Sir Faulkner lived there.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
sure? Oh.
Yeah, that's where.
So she's still living there. And
I saw her last Saturday night,
Yeah.
Mrs. Faulkner.
so to tie in with that story, that's
Yeah,
they own that house because of that incident.
yeah. That's Lucy Lane now.
Yeah, Lucy Lane. Yeah.
What was it, 3rd Street?
Know anything of it?
8th, I think. 8th Street.
I remember playing baseball in high school at the old Celoron school.
Yeah.
In high school.
That had a big long right field, didn't it?
And Carl Wegren was playing with us, and he hit one from home plate, you know where that was in the back, across the
Dunham
road.
Avenue.
Dunham Avenue. In fact, I remember Johnny Pollock at that time was with the Falcons, or, no, I guess he was not, but he came up and measured it.
Yeah, that was a whole, you know, more than the length of football field, I know that.
Well, when I played up there in the Legion League, the guy, I don't know when we were playing, his name was Underwood. And he hit one over my head and clear over across Dunham, over there in the swamp.
But that's Bud Underwood.
Bud Underwood, yeah.
I don't remember it, but my dad told me, we lived in Faulkner, right our house backed up to the Faulkner baseball field, the Faulkner Park, with the old grandstand. My dad was saying that one of the touring colored teams came in, and Josh Gibson, hit one from home plate, hit it over the tennis courts.
Jesus.
Whoa.
I think he played with House of David.
No, he played with
Grays.
Homestead Grays, or?
Homestead Grays?
Yeah,
Over
That's
the
what I
tennis
meant.
court.
over the tennis court.
I didn't mean the House of David. That's basketball.
They had a baseball team too. the
Oh, surely, right? Excuse
Yeah,
me.
you know who played with Josh Gibson, those guys there in the was John Thompson from Jamestown.
Thompson.
Johnny Thompson did he? Played with them in the service. In all colored baseball team.
He's still around?
Johnny, yeah, I saw him last week.
That'd be an interesting.
Yeah.
I've tried for 2
John
years
Thompson?
again.
I thought he was dead.
No, Johnny, no.
Really, Russ?
You won't come, Russ?
And I played ball. He played with Busket Nash when I played.
What's he doing?
Retired.
He retired.
Cream in
He
that
retired
bar.
from Marlon Rockwell.
Yeah.
That behind
You
the
may be
ticket bar.
chairman, Murray, of the recruit. Jack Thompson to come here to work.
Thank you.
That'd be good.
And he played with the Homestead Grays?
No, he played with these guys in the service.
Oh.
There was a good article in Baseball Weekly last about the colored leagues and the things that happened with that. 3 or 4 pages in it. It really is interesting.
There's a recent book, I don't know if it's recent, I recently saw a whole book about the history of colored.
I have it.
Just digging.
My son bought it for me for my
Oh, yeah?
birthday.
I think it's something new that's out, maybe.
Yeah, just.
In the last year or so.
You're right, right, Murray.
They were talking about Satchel Paige used to travel in his own car. The rest of them went in the bus. And he was late for a game one time, and they'd started. And he wasn't there to start, and he got there, and the bases were loaded, nobody out. Well, they weren't gonna give him time to warm up, so went out on the mound, and he threw like 30 times to first base to pick the guy off.
I didn't lose.
And then proceeded to get the sign out with no runs.
Well, Greg, would you take a few minutes with that in mind, the fact that we're talking Celoron, we're talking the Negro Leagues, would you take a few minutes to put that together? Do your research?
Celoron has a real footnote in national baseball history. I apologize for those who've heard this before, but an author by the name of Robert Peterson, no relation, who was born in Warren and who used to see Josh Gibson do his traveling show in Warren, saw Gibson, wherever the Warren field was, hit one onto or over the tracks. I can't even visualize this, but it made an impression on him. He became a writer for the New York Times, and as he got a little older in life, he was always curious about the Negro Leagues. Well, anyways, he wrote the first real book on Negro League baseball, called Only the Ball Was White. And in his research, he found that the last all-black team to play in organized baseball being a professional team that played in against other professional teams, was a team in Celoron called the Celoron Acme Black Giants. And this was in 1898. And that was the last time before Jackie Robinson got involved that there was actually blacks playing whites in organized baseball. Not barnstorming, but just the actual leagues. And the Celoron team wasn't particularly good. In fact, they folded after a couple of months, but nevertheless, they're a footnote in history. Subsequently, I found other books, maybe the one, Bobby, that you got, where all references are made, you'll see, maybe to Celoron, but probably to the Acme Black Giants, but that was Celoron. So I did a research project. I got all excited about this and went up to the library and dug out all the old newspaper articles on why they came here, what the team was. They were referred to in the newspaper as the Celoron Chocolates.
Really?
Oh, yeah. But at the time, it was not thought of any differently, and their real claim to fame is they sang well. Apparently on bus trips, parties, they were real party animals. And they talked about having a black mascot, and it's really interesting. So I said, man, this is worthy of doing a paper. So I did a paper, got all these articles together, and submitted it to the Society of American Baseball Research, and Bob Peterson. Bob Peterson thought this was great. He now filled in a lot of voids. there's this guy from the New York Times, he goes, he suggested you ought to submit it for publication. I said, I've never done that in my life. So I told him, I said, if you think it's worthy of a publication, you gotta help me. So he took, this is a good old English teacher, you know, he took my manuscript and just, when it came back, I didn't recognize it at all. I mean, I spelled Celoron correctly and a few other things. But he was the guy who was in his, you know, mid-70s and kind of out of the New York Times and out of baseball, but he loved it because he was juiced up. And he sent it back and he suggested, you know, Greg, you might want to think of this. Well, hey, if he thinks it's a good idea, it's a great idea. So I gave it to my secretary, typed it up, sent it off, and maybe next year they'll publish it, just because it's a historical footnote. Bottom line is, Celoron, New York, black baseball, really a footnote in national history. National history.
Couldn't call them chocolates now.
Could not call them chocolate.
Well,
No, they even talking
18
about calling them Indians, Braves.
Yeah, right.
It was 1896, I think, William Jennings Bryan announced his candidacy for president in the Pier Ballroom in Celoron Park.
Is that right?
Yeah. I think it was 1896. It was the old pier now. This is the old, more like a theater
Same
type
time he
thing.
spoke at Chautauqua.
Probably.
Where was the ice skating rink in relation to the ball field?
Ice skating?
Remember that?
Yeah, it was down in there where they had that fun house.
Yeah, down
Later.
yeah. Over
I know where it was.
over toward the ballpark.
Yeah.
They had a band play music, they said.
I don't remember the band. But I remember they had the skating rink there.
Outdoor movies every night.
Oh, yeah.
Had a serial that went on every week. You had to go to see that.
You had to go see it every week, yeah.
You go with us.
Then when the aliens bought the park from Campbell, then he made it more of a carnival, because he put in a midway type thing, you know. So they had you had to go through a sort of a midway part.
Yeah, right up to Midway, yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of killed it off. And then, of course, then I think travel, you know, cars and everything else killed Celoron Park.
Yeah.
It just they used to be coming there by train loads.
Oh, yeah. Steamer used to stop right out
Yeah,
there.
steamer, come in there, streetcars go out on the pier and pick up the people off the steamer.
Well, going back to the baseball field, and maybe Lance and I didn't hear it, but how about the maintenance of the field? Who took care of that? Do you have any memories? Park taking care of it, or-
No, because then we weren't down around there only when the games were on and that. Probably the park, probably Celoron Park took care of it. It was only, you know, really it was only like the outfield to mow and that, and then a rake.
The way the photographs look, they never painted the
No,
grandstand.
no, I
that
didn't.
right?
No, I don't think it was ever painted.
Pictures of years, it just looked like it had never.
Yeah.
And the interesting, I think Bob told me it was covered with chicken wire. That was
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was in Faulkner too, chicken wire.
Yeah,
You
chicken
never get away
wire.
with that at College Stadium today.
No.
Cherry Creek still is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's the only one I know that's,
Yeah.
of all the ones we ever played in.
Yeah,
It might be a subject sometime, the history of that church.
yeah.
That'd be a good one. Been around a long time.
The condoms.
Trizillos.
Trizillos.
Jack Frost and.
Was you played on London?
Sam.
Oh, yeah.
You guys work on a few names, and I'd be happy to call them.
Where's Ray Macy? Where'd he play from?
Ray Macy, he played with Kennedy.
Kennedy.
They didn't play with us in Kennedy for years. Well, he played with Faulkner N.Y.
Yeah.
My roots are all from London, my dad. Ever tell you the story about when we played?
Harry Eccles.
The manager,
Harry.
Parky was playing for.
Well, you mean-
For our team. And we're beating
I like
really
him.
bad. There's
What the hell was this
everybody's
kid's
behind stands, is behind the dugout. Parky sticks his head around the corner. He says,
Sure.
what do you think of your club now? Parky, they were going down on Lake Free. Oh, he's crazy.
I like a few of us on this side of the table have the benefit of looking on what's going on outside, and it does look like it's gonna get slippery, and the street is covered. Bob, do you have any other thoughts? or any other
Tom has to go to Bemis.
Bemis, yeah. Do you have any other thoughts, Bob, or any other questions anybody has?
I can't think of anything more that, you know, except it was fun.
Well, that in mind, let's say thank you.
Yeah, great stuff, Bob.